Hi people, so my clients gave me this to recruit for her. So here's my own equation by trying. Okay, so for this style, I use 4 yards of Ankara fabric and you'll be needing some fringe and velvet ribbon. Okay, so the first thing I did was to cut twice a gown length measurement. Then I divide that into two, which I'm going to be using one for the front and the other for the back. Don't forget you need twice the gown length measurement with your seam allowance, of course, and you're going to slash that into two, meaning you have the gown length measurement in two places. Okay, so I first fold the first one into two like this. You can see the way I place it on the table. So that's going to be the back. Then I'm going to fold the second one again into two, and I'll place it right on top of it. So now my fabric is folded into four. So we have the first one, which is going to be the front, and the last one underneath is going to be at the back. Okay, so just take a look at the way I'm doing it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so now that my fabric is properly laid on the table, the next thing now is to start drafting. So the first thing I did was to roll my guidelines so that I can have a starting point for all my vertical measurements, and this guideline is just going to serve as the shoulder. Okay, so all my length measurement is going to start from there. So the next one is to measure 1.5 inches inward from the starting point again like this, and I'm going to roll it all the way down to the M line, and all my horizontal measurement, that is all my circumference measurement, is going to start from this point. Okay, there will be zip at the back of this dress, and the front is going to have joining, just the way you see it's having slits in front, so there'll be joining in front. So I left this 1.5 inches here to serve as the zip allowance and as the joining allowance for the front. And note, this fabric is not placed on fold, so the front and the back is open, like the center front and the center back is cut open, so it's not on the fold. So here now the next thing is to start putting in my measurements, and don't forget all my circumference measurement will start from this front line. So here I measured the shoulder divided by 2. Then the next thing I did was to measure down the length of the armhole. Then I measure a waist length, then the hip line, then of course the length of the gown with the same allowance. Don't forget to already use the length to bring it out. So that's what we have there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just to extend the lines. Alright, so starting from the front line, I measured the shoulder divided by 2, and I'm going to just roll it straight down to the chest line like this. Then I measure 3 inches again this way so that I can slant the shoulder. Then I go to the tip of the shoulder. I'll measure 1 inch downward this way, and I'll connect these 2 points together. And after that, I'm going to add 1/2 inch to that line as the shoulder seam allowance. Okay, don't forget all my circumference measurement starting from this line. Okay, so the next thing now is just to input the neck circumference. So I use neck width of 4 inches. So I mark the 4 inches for the width of the neck like this. So the neck depth for the front is 4 inches, and I'm just going to connect it together this way. The neck depth for the back is 3 inches, and I'll also connect it this way. Okay, so this is the back and this is the front. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now, I'll move to the chest line, and I'm going to input the bust circumference divided by 4. Don't forget all my measurements start from this line. So I'll put the bust divided by 4 with 1/2 inch ease, and then 1.5 seam allowance. I'll move to the waistline. I will input the waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1/2 inch ease and 1.5 seam allowance. Then I'll go to the hip line. I will input the hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1/2 inch ease, and then 1.5 seam allowance. Then the next thing is just to connect these points together this way. Don't forget to blend the waist area very well like this. Let it be round. Okay, so the next I'll measure whatever I have on the hip line, and I'm going to subtract 1 inch from it, and I'm going to put it at the M line this way. Then I'm going to connect from the hip line straight to the M line. Okay, Then the next thing is to finish the armhole. I'll just place my French cuff and I'll draw the armhole. This is for the back armhole cuff. Then the next is to import the front armhole cuff. So you locate the mid armhole like this, and at the mid armhole you come in by 1/2 inch, and then you connect back to the shoulder tip and then blend it back to the chest line this way. Okay, so when we are cutting now, first cut on the back armhole and also the back neckline, all right, before reshaping the front. Okay, so I'll go ahead, I'm going to cut on the back neckline. You cut the shoulder, then you cut on the back armhole cuff this way, all right. Don't forget to notch the zip allowance. Then you also notch the pocket position, which is 1 inch below the waistline. Then you remove the last two, that's going to be for the back. You take it out and keep it for now. Then you spread back the front this way so that you can shape the front neckline as well as the front armhole cuff. Okay, so don't forget to also notch. Okay, so the next thing now is to notch the position where the front slit is going to be, because there's slit in front neckline. So just make sure I'm using 4 inches, so which fell on the armhole line. Okay, so I'll go back to the M line also. I'll measure upward the length that I want for the front slit this way. Then I'll note it. So when you're sewing, you sew from this point to that point, all right? So the next thing now is to cut facing for the neck. So place another fabric into 2 folds so that you can cut facing for the front neckline. So just place the front neckline on it this way, then you cut off, you trace out the shape of the neckline this way. Then after that, you're going to measure about 4 inches all around and cut this way. Can you see? So this is the facing for the front. You also cut facing for the back as well. So place the fabric into 2 folds again, place the back neckline on it this way, trace out the shape of the neckline, measure 4 inches around and cut. Okay, so we're done with the facing. You keep them aside, then you bring back the back. This time around we're done with the front completely. So bring back the back. From the shoulder you measure down the waist length. This is the waist length, you notice. Then from that point you go in. I went in by 3/4 inch because the client is really shapy. Then you blend it back to the neck this way, and then you blend it down to the hip line. Okay, so this is just to prevent the zip from bulging at the back, so that you can follow a shape nicely. Okay, so you cut it off. All the steps are very important if you want a well-fitting garment. Okay, so you see the way I've done it. Basically, we are done cutting. So the next thing now is just to cut the pocket. So place your fabric into 4 fold and trace out the shape of your palm, and then you cut it. So this is the pocket. So next is to cut the sleeve. It's just a straight basic sleeve. So first I measured the length of the cap height, then the length of the sleeve and my seam allowance. Then I'm going to extend this line, make sure and extend your line. So on the cap height line, you're going to input the armhole length together with the ease that you added to the garment, as well as your seam allowance. Then you're going to get your cap height cuff this way, this beautiful inverted S shape. Then you go to the M line of the sleeve, you input the round sleeve measurement divided by 2 with your seam allowance. Okay, I am not adding any ease to this point. So you're just going to connect these points together this way. Then your basic sleeve is ready. Then you're going to cut it out. Okay, so when you're done cutting it out, you open it up. Then you're going to hem the bottom part of the sleeve. This way, fold once and then you fold again, and you make your stitch. After which you're going to attach the fringe. Okay, so let's go to this sewing machine so that I can show you how to sew it together. So starting with the front, I'm going to join from that point that I mark for the neck all the way to where I want my slit to start from. Okay. Next is to finish up the neckline with the facing that we cut earlier on. But before doing that, I cut off part of the excess on the neck area like this. Then after that, I also finished the edge of the facing, you know. I finished the edge of the facing like this by folding it once, and I'll make my stitch all around it. Then after that, I'll place the facing on the neckline and stitch together. I don't know, I started with the slits first before sewing the round part. Just be looking at the way I'm doing it. It's very simple. So I started with the straight line first, then before stitching round the neck area. Then after that, you just notch and turn it to the good side. Then after that, you're going to repeat the same step to the second side, stitch, notch and turn to the good side. So when you're done with the neckline, the next is just to finish the slit at the down part of the dress. Just fold like this 2 times, and then you make your stitch all the way up. And then when you're done with one side, you also repeat the same thing to the second side. And after that, you are going to hem the down part of the dress. You're going to iron it. Make sure you give it a very good press, and after that you're going to place the velvet ribbon on it. But for it to be easy for you to sew, you need to first put your hemming gum like this on both sides. Put your hemming gum, then after that you place the velvet ribbon on top of it, and then make sure you put your iron protecting stuff to prevent the velvet ribbon from getting damaged under the iron heat. Okay, so make sure you put something on it. Even if it's a piece of cloth, make sure you place it on it. Don't place iron directly on the velvet ribbon because it tends to damage it. Okay, then after doing that, you're going to take it back to the sewing machine, and then you're going to stitch it down on both sides of the velvet ribbon. Okay. Okay, so the next thing now is just to mark the position where I want the fringes to be. So first I measure a little below the waistline, then the other one is going to be exactly on the nipple point line. Then I'll just make a mark. Just make a mark like this on both sides. Then like I said, the other one is going to be exactly on the nipple point line. Okay, so the width of the fringe is going to be about 6 inches.
So I'm just going to place the fringe on it. You need to double the fringe so that it can be fuller. You can even triple it, okay? Because I think that is what I did to mine. So you just place it on it like this. You double it or you triple it, as the case may be, before attaching to the fabric. So you make sure you do it on the 4 points that you already mark, and the velvet ribbon is still going to sit directly on top of the fringe, okay, because that's how it was done from the style. So when you're done stitching the fringe, you're going to place the ribbon on it this way, and you're going to sew on both sides of the ribbon, okay? Going to sew on both sides of the ribbon. Okay, so you're going to repeat this same step on the other remaining 3 lines, okay? Okay, so you keep the front aside, we're done with it. So you grab the back. So the first thing now is to measure where you want the zipper to stop, and from that point you're going to close it all the way down to the hem line. Don't forget you're stitching with 1.5 inch, because that is what we added as the zip allowance, and you're going to sew that all the way down to the hem line of the dress. And after that you're going to also hem the down part of the dress, okay? And you will also fix your zipper and finish the neckline with the fitting that we already cut out. Okay, so quickly I'll just hem the bottom part of the sleeve, and also I will attach the fringe to it. So you're going to be doubling the fringe also, or tripling it as the case may be. Okay, don't leave it single because it's just going to look very scanty. Okay, so to make your work look great, you have to double it at least, or you triple it like I did to mine. You will also place the velvet ribbon on top of the fringe on the sleeve as well. Can you see just the way I'm doing it here? Next is to join front and back together at the shoulder, and after that you attach your sleeve, and then you close the side of your dress. Don't forget you will also be fixing your pockets at the notched positions, okay? And that will be the end of today's tutorial. If you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please kindly subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.